Hi guys, quick note about the audio quality before we get to the actual episode. So I made a rookie mistake. I recorded my voice using the headphones, not the actual mic. Sorry about that, but luckily it is just my voice. My guest, Felix, is a pro. His voice is buttery smooth and he also does most of the talking. So again, sorry for the audio quality and let's get to the show.
Okay, Felix, my first returning guest. I'm gonna jump straight to the first question. As always, Webflow outage. Outage.
Outage, yeah.
Where were you hit by the big outage on at the end of July?
Yeah, actually, it was a bit unfortunate because I had two clients that were kind of like onboarding to Webflow, so kind of using Webflow for the very first time. One of them moving from WordPress to Webflow, and the other one moving from just coding. Actually, no, it was on. Yeah, they were on Wix. Yeah, sorry. So that was their first experience. Was like 3 days not being able to really do anything. Like, and when the website was loading, like it was just, throwing lots of errors all the time. So this was not really a good look, to be honest. Like they were like, oh, okay, like is this, like is this how it is on Webflow? Like what is, probably thinking like, did they make a mistake? But luckily, I managed to, explain that this is really rare. Not sure exactly what was happening because we didn't get that much communication, from Webflow, at least at the beginning. Afterwards they explained a bit more. Apparently they would, they had some attacks and things like that, and they did their best, to fix it as fast as possible. But yeah, during the issues, like there was not that much communication, which I can understand, if everybody's like head down trying to fix the problems, yeah, I mean, I can hear both sides, like people criticizing that, they have different teams and they should have had a team, managing that. Because, yeah, like I said, it was not a good look, and I could have lost these two clients, which, cost money. And I'm sure a lot of freelancers and agencies lost money because of that. So, yeah, I was affected a little bit. But luckily, like I said, my clients kind of, it's like stuck with me and stuck with Webflow. And after that, everything went smoothly. So it's all good. But yeah, I understand why some people are pissed. I also feel like, shit happens sometimes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
luckily, like it doesn't happen all the time. This is like a really rare event. And yeah, it sucked for a few days. But yeah, sometimes shit happens. And, as long as they learn from it and do the best they can, when it happens and make sure it doesn't happen again, that's all you can ask for. And I'm not gonna be one of those that's like, oh, because of this, I'm moving away from Webflow. Like Webflow still is the best tool for me. So yeah, but how do you feel about it? Did you get hit pretty much like by it, or were you on holiday or?
Not really. Yeah, I was on a vacation and I almost missed the whole thing. I believe there were maybe one client that contacted me that there's something going on, but there were nothing major updates, no like major publications or publishing things that were interrupted. So I was just like checking it out how the thing progressed from my vacation desk, so to speak. But I feel like it's a major thing because it's so rare. In Webflow's case, we have not had a outage. Yeah, that's a difficult word for me. Anyway, we have not had anything like that before. At least I do not remember anything on that scale. And when it comes to the communication, yeah, I'm with you. What can the company or the employees do than just say that we're working on it? We're like totally working on it, and
Yeah.
at least I feel like that it's better to explain afterwards than take time from the actual like fix
Yeah.
to explain it. So yeah, it's a
I,
difficult
I
thing, but
I
go
do
on.
hear kind of like the opposite side. Like it would have been nice to maybe know a little bit more so you can explain to your clients also like, okay,
Oh yeah.
it's not like they're getting attacked, but I don't know if it helps much to know that it's that and that it's not, them fucking up something. But yeah. I don't know. Yeah, at least they gave an explanation, afterwards when everything got back to normal. But on that subject, I do feel like there has been a few bugs here and there that I'm not sure, like, is it because of a lot of new features lately? But like, when I first used, for example, the language kind of features,
Yeah,
localization features.
localization. Yeah.
Yeah, like I did encounter a couple of bugs that I had to talk to, the Webflow team about, and like they provided some fixes. Obviously, it wasn't anything that I did wrong. It was, on their end, and they gave me some fix. It was more like workaround to how to fix what had happened. And I believe now they fixed all these issues, but it does show like that there has been a few bugs here and there, and maybe same with the new GSAP, integration on Webflow, new animations. I haven't been using it much yet because I feel like it's still early, and I just kind of want to avoid these bugs. And I've heard, from the community, like a few people saying that they encountered some issues. So I don't know. I'm just thinking like, I mean, I know that this was an attack and it's not related, but yeah, I feel like overall, the tool is getting bigger and bigger. Maybe there's more and more teams working on different things, and it makes it more complicated. So again, I kind of like, I can empathize, but yeah, it's really something that they gotta focus on, because, this is our, like working tool, like it needs to work all the time.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah, as you said, the tool is getting very complicated and huge. Like you mentioned, the localization. We have the GSAP, of course, the main features. Then we have analyze and optimize things, and everything has to like work together if there's one project that uses all of these features.
exactly. And now they're coming up with the how is it called, like the multiplayer, kind of. Yeah,
You
how's it
mean the
called?
like multiple editors at the same
Yeah,
time?
yeah. I mean, that must be a huge thing, because they've been like, basically it's been a demand for a long time. Everybody's been requesting
Yeah.
it, and I'm just thinking that if it took this long, it means that it's a really complex feature, and that it's a big change to their architecture or something, So yeah, I hope it's not gonna mess anything up. But yeah, it's like there's a lot of new things going on, and a lot of potential issues that could arise, but hopefully it's all going well.
Yeah, I have the same feelings, like a bit mixed. Like I'm excited for all the new features, but at the same time, I just wouldn't want to be the developer piecing everything together.
Yeah.
So that is hard. But
And
you
it's
mentioned, yeah, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, and it's also a lot, for us to learn, I guess, like a lot of new feature, a lot of new things. Like for example, the GSAP stuff, like I played around a bit with it, but I need to like, go a little bit deeper with it. I'm just
Yeah.
curious, like, how do you feel about all these new features? Like, have you been like keeping, up to date with them, or like which one are you excited about?
Well, I would love to say that I have extensively used everything, but I haven't. So, kind of the same way as you, the GSAP thing, I have done some small things with it, and yeah, it's not like completely clear to me how I should use it, but it's getting there. And I talked with Ethan Suero, who makes a lot of this like interaction heavy sites, and he said that he's still using the code for
Yeah.
GSAP animations because there are bugs, and the GSAP interface maybe needs a bit more fine tuning.
Yeah.
And yeah, he said that if you like do a animation or interaction that way, and you change something on the canvas, like some elements, it might like break the whole interaction. So it's still, for him at least, it is faster and more reliable to just do it with the code. But about other features, I'm kind of excited about everything. I have most experience with the localization thing, and I think that is a great tool. It's expensive. It complicates the project, of course, but if you are really serious about translating your website, it is a best tool for Webflow, obviously. But the things I'd like to play around more are the analyze and optimize tools. I actually have the analyze tool for my own site, just like with almost almost every time I have installed some sort of analytics on my site, it just runs. I do not like watch the data because it's not that relevant for me. I get the leads and
yeah.
that's the one metric relevant for me. How about you? Do you watch analytics?
No, I mean, I just have one analytics from like one of the companies that you don't need like the cookie consent because I didn't want to add that. So it just gives like very basic info. So I just keep an eye on it so I know like if something happens, you know, like why it happened. Like I think like recently I had like a huge spike because you know my name is like Webflix Studio, and probably there was something about some kind of service that was called also Webflix, and then suddenly
Cool.
like it went like insane. I was like, hey, what is going on? And then I saw that okay, it's from, you know, it's probably from that. But so it's just good to know like what's going on. But yeah, for me, I mean, as you know, like I have like kind of just a one pager, you know. I recently added like a Finnish, you know, version of that one pager just because, you know, I'm working in Finland, mostly Finnish customer. I thought maybe that would be good for them. But yeah, it's not like I'm, you know, trying to rank high on Google or like, you know, creating a lot of SEO content or anything like that. But yeah, regarding optimize and like analyze, yeah, I mean, these tools seem pretty expensive. So I have a hard time like advising them, you know, to my clients. So also it makes it that it's hard for me to see their potential. But now Webflow has this cool new thing, which is this, how is it called, by the way? It's like some kind of, do you know?
Are you talking about the sandbox
Yeah, Sandbox,
thing?
exactly, like environment. So we can like play around with the new features. And I haven't yet, you know, played around with it there, but that I think that's a really cool idea because yeah, in the past it's like, okay, I'm familiar with localization because I had a client that needed it, you know, and then I'm learning as I'm going, you know. But then other than that, it's like, okay, how do I, you know, how can I learn? But now with the Sandbox, we get to, you know, play around with these new features without necessarily having the projects, you know, yet. So then you can maybe sell it better after.
But I'm not sure if that's just for the Webflow partners or is
Yeah.
it
Oh,
for
yeah.
everybody?
That's a good point. Yeah. Because you and I, you know, I forget there's people watching, but
Yeah.
yeah. You and I are, you know, Webflow certified partners, so we have access to the sandbox. If you're not, then yeah, you don't have that.
Tough
Yeah.
luck.
Sorry. Yeah.
But
Sorry.
that is a good thing. I know that I have the sandbox, but I haven't checked it out. So of course the optimize, which is the more expensive one out of those two, that would be cool. And of course, if we think of the clients who would benefit from that, they really need to have like a big website and big chunk of
Yeah.
their revenue coming through the website for it to
Exactly.
be a good choice or a good
Exactly.
expense to pay.
Like mostly enterprise, you know, clients probably would benefit the most from that and would have the money to pay for that. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think mid to small size companies, don't know if I can justify them spending that much.
not really. And maybe there could be like cheaper alternatives that do like the basic A/B testing stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be nice to play with them. But you mentioned that on your side you have some sort of analytics tool that does not have to use cookies.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with the analytics and cookies with your clients? Do you explain them that all the options and then let them choose, or what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I usually recommend to just get one of the, you know, providers that just specialize in that. I feel like it's the safest, you know, most of them, they can just analyze the site, see what cookies you're using. And since all my clients have, you know, analytics and HubSpot, and maybe some of them even have like extra stuff like LinkedIn and, you know, all kind of tracking stuff. I think it's just the easiest. So yeah, there's a few of them, you know, I like that you always kind of like pop up, so I recommend those as well. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Or some of them already have a, you know, their own solution, so they just stick with it. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Well, basically same with me. Some of my clients already have something on their old side, and it's quite easy to migrate to the new one. I like to use FinSuite's. It's now called Content Pro, I believe. They just updated it, and the thing with that is that you can customize the banners in the Webflow interface. So that is cool. Yeah, it's work in progress. So if you wanna have like a really stable system, maybe you should go with some sort of other solution. But I like that.
How much is
Yeah,
it?
actually they updated the pricing. It's quite like good price right now. I have to check it out, but they used to have the subscription, and then it was combined to the component app, but they separated those, and now they have a
I think that's a good mood. Oh, okay. But I think it's good to separate because I have zero needs for their components.
Yeah, totally.
But the GDPR stuff, I mean, the cookie consent stuff, that could be useful. But yeah, I don't know if... Oh, go ahead.
The lifetime license is now $199, and I got some better price because I'm a FinSuite Plus member, so it was probably 10% off. And that's one-time payment for the site.
Okay.
Of course, you can go with monthly or yearly subscriptions also. And there are agency plans to build a bunch of sites.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Like most of the time, you know, like I would want to use it for then all the projects. So if that one-time payment works for that, I mean, that's a bargain. But if you have to buy it for all the sites, then I don't know.
You can, of course, let the clients pay that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, it's way better than before, and I'm happy that FinSuite folks listened to the community and changed the pricing. I believe the components, the Instagram feeds and all the rest are better priced as well right now. So that's cool.
Yeah. Talking about new features also. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, still about this exciting topic of analytics and cookies. Yeah. If I have a small client, I just might say that, how about we just set up the Google Search Console? You get some data out of how your site performs in Google, and for small purposes, that is just fine, and get some data. And if you just want to see some numbers, that is all you need. And then you do not need to have the cookie consent banners and those. So that's one thing that I sometimes recommend.
Yeah. Well, for those, and you could do what I do for my own website then, because then they get some analytics and they get no cookie consent required.
But are those paid, like those non-cookie?
Yeah. You pay for that, but at least you don't need to pay for the cookie consent.
And
it doesn't bother the visitors, and you get your basic Google Analytics data basically without having to add the cookie consent.
Yeah, but there's a bit like the same problem with the cookie consent thing, that because FinSuite had back in the day had kind of this cookie consent thing that was free, and I used that, and I got used to it being free, and now it's paid. And of course, it's a complicated system and people should pay for it. But when in the past you got it for free, it's hard to now jump to the paid thing.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But like I said, most of my clients, they need, they have HubSpot and this and that. They have many different tracking and analytics, so they always need something robust. So that's why I go with this kind of solution. It's just like a monthly, payment anyway. So yeah,
good with the rest of the subscriptions.
Yeah,
too many of those. But you were about to ask about new features.
Yeah, I was just
something?
Because we were talking about new features before. I just realized also that Webflow Conf is around the corner, like in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I haven't thought about it much, but because they've been releasing so many new features now, but they usually have the biggest announcements during Webflow Conf. So I'm really curious to see what those, are going to be. And is it going to be, again, like something that they announced now, but it's coming in 2 years? I feel like the past couple of years has been a bit like that. Or is it something that's, yeah.
That's good that you brought that up, because I haven't thought of anything like, aside these new features, that anything like new. I'm just thinking that if the newest features that are already out and the multi-editing thingy,
Yeah.
if those can be just like finalized and fine-tuned and get them working well, that's enough for me. But now that you mentioned, I kind of got excited. Could there be something that we're missing, or at least I'm not thinking of? Do you have any predictions?
I mean, no prediction. I mean, to be honest, like some of these features, like you said, like JSAP integration and the multi-editor thing, I feel like these are Webflow Conf worthy announcements. So I don't know if they're going to talk about it again, because the editor thing is still in beta. So maybe that's going to be one of the big features they announce. But yeah, like while you were saying that, like pretty happy with the state of Webflow right now. I mean, there's always the same thing, which I think is like the CMS, some of the limitations. If they can fix the multi-editing, maybe they can also fix the CMS. They did improve it recently, but there's still some limitation, towards like how many kind of like sub collections, nested collections you can have, and like all this kind of stuff. So they already started to improve it. So maybe there is some more improvements coming to the CMS. I think that would be cool. Also, I think they're gonna be removing the whole editor thing, the legacy editor.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think the new way is a lot better, but also it's costs more for the clients because they need to have the seats, for those like editors. So maybe they'll talk a bit about that too, like some improvements to that and removing the old one.
Hopefully it is not going to be just list of things we're going to deprecate. So cut off. That would be quite dull Webflow Conf. But last year they made a big deal about this. Was it like web experience platform?
Yeah, true.
Concerning the analyze and optimize things. I wonder if there's something new to that part, maybe.
Maybe e-commerce.
I gotta say, I have been planning to do a video about how the e-commerce is like a wasted opportunity for Webflow, at least back here where we are at. I feel that with a couple of small updates, it could be a viable thing for many more businesses.
Yeah, I had a few leads this year, which I had to like turn down because I basically told them like, for what you need, it's better you go with Shopify,
Yeah.
And sure, anyway, like it wouldn't really be my niche to do like a lot of e-commerce stuff, since I do mostly, more like tech companies, SaaS, startups and things like that. But I mean, if I had, the tools on Webflow, I might have been more inclined to just be like, okay, yeah, it's not like exactly my niche, but like, let's do it. It's still Webflow. I'm still, capable of doing this on Webflow. So, but now because I was like, nah, like this is not the best for Webflow. Better you go with, Shopify. And then, I just let them go basically.
Yeah, and Webflow doesn't have to like rival Shopify. It's a good platform for big e-commerce brands, but just update few features like the payment providers so that people who want to have a third-party payment provider could add that, and then they could have like a small shop with a couple of items, not even too many like product variants or anything like that. That's like my biggest gripe with the e-commerce, that they just have the Stripe and PayPal, and that might be fine back there in the States, but for example, us here in Finland, there are a couple of payments options that those do not provide that are quite like mandatory here in Finland.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That's
Yeah, they could make a few steps forward and have already something more viable. Yeah.
But Do you think that they have like the motivation for that, or are they just gonna do a huge game move and deprecate the whole e-commerce thing?
I had no idea. I mean, only the people working at Webflow, I think, can answer that question. I have no idea, but yeah, like you said, with the whole like web experience thing, could go that way, because it could fit that. Hey, we're trying to have this whole thing. Some people need to also sell things
Yeah.
and buy things, or it could go completely different way. Like they've been doing a lot of these more app kind of driven stuff, where you can link Webflow with your like code and like React
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe there will be more stuff towards that too. I'm not sure. We'll have to
There
see.
has
Yeah.
been a couple, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple past Weblock, there have been those kinds of updates to like DevLink, and now there's Webflow Cloud, and yeah, for the developers. But I'm still saying, or talking about the e-commerce, it's a huge feature. Like when they deprecated announced that the old editor will be deprecated and the logic and membership features will be gone. I think that those were not as big of features than
Yeah.
e-commerce. There's probably quite a few sites that use Webflow e-commerce, and it would be a
Yeah,
huge thing to just cut it out.
for sure. For sure. Yeah. But maybe they
Yeah,
will improve it. Who knows?
who knows? But I'm glad if we get some either small upgrades to the CMS. That has been like the community favorite for a long time too,
Yeah,
besides
exactly.
the multi-editor.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, every project, I have to use the CMS heavily. So if they can make, even small improvements to the workflow, to the limitations, to like anything, it would be
Yeah,
very welcome.
and I have been a bit envious when I see, I believe Framer has, and was it Wix Studio has this CMS editing UI that has like this spreadsheet layout. So you have all your items on the lines and you
Yeah.
can just edit them from there.
Yeah.
That would be cool, but I'm not,
Yeah.
well, maybe not
It's,
the priority, but anyway.
yeah. I mean, it should be, like I said, I mean, every project, that I do, yeah, there's a lot of like CMS editing and, migrating also, from WordPress, like importing, like, and yeah, like the work is very tedious, it's like opening the thing and like, sure, sometimes you can import the CSV, but it's like, yeah, why don't you give me like a better experience straight on Webflow? Yeah, like you said, where I could like maybe edit, the lines like directly and not just always like having to close, go back, reopen the next one, and like, yeah. But I mean, that is not even the biggest thing. I think there's a lot of other stuff they could improve.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But one thing that is quite clear to me that Webflow has evolved a lot, and it is like more serious platform in a sense that just like the business cases who Webflow is good for, they are kind of like filtering out the smallest like companies, and maybe like the designers, like the visual designers that used to be their focus, that okay, if you can design something you can build
yeah,
it, and now it's more towards, well, maybe not just enterprise clients, but like more serious businesses, mid-sized businesses and so on, who have like the budget to spend on the CMS and localization plans and everything else. Do you agree with me?
yeah. I mean, I don't think they would really say it. Like, I think they're trying to be like catering for more people, right? So small business still, medium-sized businesses, but also like enterprise. But I mean, yeah, there's this, thing that you keep hearing in the community, that, yeah, they're just catering for enterprise and us, smaller companies or freelancers, like we're being forgotten. I don't know if that's 100% true. There's definitely some things that, may feel a bit that way. But I do understand, like, or I do see the shift though, like from, like you said, like before it was like designers, using the tool, to now like, maybe you need more like a developer kind of mindset to build. That I agree. I still think, designers can learn Webflow, I mean, I was
Yeah,
primarily,
totally.
a designer before, but they do need to understand that, it's, like a kind of a visual coding tool. It's not a design tool. So,
Yeah, but just think if you had to start learning Webflow from the start right now, how much more that would be
yeah,
compared to when we just got our hands into it. So yeah, it's way more complicated. And what I was trying to say that maybe the sweet spot for the end user, like the client, has shifted. As you said, that the legacy editor, for example, it was good. The new one is better, but more expensive, which means that you have to actually get some revenue
that's
out of
true.
the website. Yeah, that has been on my mind, and I think that many people agree. I talked about this with Cory Moan, for example, and yeah, he said that he has seen the shift too. Of course, there will always be us freelancers who just are able to do those things, but like
Yeah,
small non-dedicated firms, I
yeah,
think that
yeah.
they will have better options.
That's true. Yeah. Like if you're a really small company, yeah, like all these new features, like the components, the editing, like, yeah, like you said, it's maybe more geared towards like people or like companies that have like a marketing team. I mean, this is kind of what
Yeah,
they're promoting also, like, the marketing team can now edit the website. They don't need to ask for a dev all the time to do small tweaks. So yeah, I think, yeah, like this is kind of like their sweet spots, like companies that have a team compared to, yeah, like really small businesses. But then maybe, yeah, maybe they, or anyway, like we're kind of losing these potential clients already, to things like Squarespace and Wix and all that. And maybe they're like, hey, let's double down on medium to large. Maybe. I don't know. Not working at Webflow,
yeah.
so I'm just speculating here, but
But I'm fine with this progression because I at least I am like I feel that I'm growing with Webflow and my clients are bigger than when I started, which is of course a good thing for me. And yeah, the thing is that I just wonder if if now was the time when I started my business, I would probably jump into Framer or something like that, more newer platform, and I would grow with that platform, hopefully the same way how I grew with Webflow. But yeah, things are changing. Of course, change
yeah.
is inevitable, and we we cannot live without it, or even if we wanted. Okay, but you mentioned marketers, and marketers are always excited about AI. So a little bird told me that you have been playing around with AI more. So what have you done and what have you found?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the first thing is like kind of related to coding. Like I said, my background is mostly as a designer. I did already dabbled, with like CSS, back in the days, a little bit of React, but from a designer's like point of view or like perspective. So yeah, it's not like I was writing like lots of JavaScript from scratch or anything like that. But when I started using Webflow, I tried to do basically everything with Webflow, and then little by little, you have some small limitations. So maybe you're adding a bit of CSS here, CSS there, like some properties you didn't have. Now they added the custom property, which is great, but before you didn't have that. So you had to do a bit of that, and then maybe you have some new, you expand on your skill set and you want to, also improve your website. So you start to add a bit more code for like, maybe like drop downs or, FAQ, like accordion. You want to like open, close them with like, bit of jQuery or something. So yeah, I think like you were saying, like you're progressing, with the client, but like, this is kind of the same, but progressing, yeah, with your skill set. And like the more you feel confident, the more, the builds are getting more complex. So the more code I'm starting to add. And yeah, now, with AI, like you have a lot more kind of possibilities to add code without necessarily like having to know how to code from scratch. So I've been like doing that a lot more, just asking ChatGPT, for some help here and there, and like also like building sliders and some custom tabs and things like that. So now I feel like I'm a lot less like limited, compared to before. It's like, the design is like that's not really how you would do tabs on Webflow. Like, what is that weird tab stuff? But now I'm like, oh, okay, like cool challenge. Let me build my own like custom tabs, not even using the tabs from Webflow, just having divs and like having some code to do the functionality. But the work, how do you say, like the process of like getting code from AI, pasting it on Webflow and all that has been a bit of a pain. And also ChatGPT does like, it's not always the best compared to what I'm about to talk about. So my new workflow now is to use Cursor, which is, specifically made to like write code with AI, and the AI can see what code you have there, which is really cool. And it cannot really see your Webflow project, so you still have to give it, a good prompt with like what classes you have or whatnot. But yeah, I've been using that, and I've been using. I know you could potentially have the whole code, on a CDN and hook this, on Webflow. But I haven't done that. I've taken a bit of a shortcut. Maybe I'll do that soon. But for now, I'm just using like how is it called? Like a plugin, like on your browser. And basically, it's kind of like taking from your own server the code and then just like injecting it to the website. So if I publish the site and I go to the staging, and then it injects the JavaScript, and then if I change the code in Cursor, then it just, I just need to refresh and I see, yeah. So I've been doing that, and it's been a lot of fun. Like the latest project I've used that a lot. And it was just this new approach which made like building the site a lot more fun, and you can really pay attention to all like, all the details and small animations here and there. And then at the end, I just copy paste the code from Cursor to the relevant pages or components or site setting, depending on so that's one thing I've been playing around more with AI and like coding. But I would love to hear like how is your experience with like coding inside Webflow? Have you played around with that too?
Yeah. So I have done a lot of ChatGPT talking or conversations as well, and I have installed the Cursor app on my computer, but I haven't really used that yet. But I know the possibilities, and now that you mentioned the extension, that could be very, very helpful for the workflow, because you do not have to copy paste. What is the extension called? I believe it's like a Chrome extension.
Yeah. It's called Temper Monkey.
Monkey. Okay, cool.
Yeah, basically you just tell it like what's your server, like your local host server, and then it just like injects the code. You also give it the URL of your website. So during the build of the website, it will be like your staging, link from Webflow. And then it just does the rest. It's super easy to set up, and Cursor is also very easy to use. It's been fun. So yeah.
I've seen a lot of people on the internet like using Claude through Cursor, and then using the MCPs with Cursor too. And I wonder if the MCP could be a solution for connecting Webflow to the Cursor. So maybe even you could do like actual edits through Cursor. I'm not sure. I haven't done any of the work, but
I'm not sure
I wonder.
either. Yeah, I have never used the MCP stuff yet from Webflow, but I believe it's like really useful, like if you want to, edit like CMS stuff.
Yeah.
With that, because we were just talking about like how sometimes it's like annoying to click on things, and like, so maybe if you can do that through AI, that could be good. And I think you can. I just haven't yet done it. It's been a lot. To learn, so it can do everything, but
but that is my understanding too, that the Webflow MCP is for now, mainly for the CMS editing. But hopefully, because there is a thing called Designer API, hopefully
Yeah.
that could like grow. Actually, could that be a thing for all the AI for the new announcements?
Could be. Yeah, they might. Yeah, for sure there will be some new AI features. So let's see. Yeah. But then with the AI stuff, so the other thing I've been getting into as well, it's like, it's like just before I get into it, it's like there's so many, new fun stuff like going on. Like it's hard to check everything. But for me, I'm like, I don't know if it's my ADHD, but like I need something new and exciting, and then I'll just like geek out, about it. And that was like the same for me. Like when I started to use Cursor, and I was like, wow, this is so much fun, and I just like, suddenly like it just made the build like a lot more fun. So the new thing I'm like playing around with is, I keep hearing about like those agents and those like workflows and like how you can automate. It's like, if you have a small business, like why do you do all this thing manually, like just have, agents or AI do everything for you. So yeah, I was very skeptical about this. So now I'm like starting to play around a bit with that and like try to build some workflows and see what, what I can do. So for now, I'm literally like yesterday's when I was playing around with that, but it was the same as when I played with Cursor. Like I spent the whole day, like from basically when I started at like 7:30 to like 7 p.m. I was like playing around with this, and like I managed to connect basically like Slack with like AI and then an Excel sheet which has my to-do list. And so I can tell, that was like the first basic thing, I can tell on Slack, like add or what do I have to do, like what's on my list today, and then it tells me you have this task and this task, and then I can say like delete this one or mark this one as to do, or I have to do this one, I have to go to hairdresser tomorrow at 10 p.m. like, and then 10 a.m. sorry, and then it like puts it automatically, so I don't need to do anything. It's kind of like AI like doing this, and then now I'm like also updating all this so that the assistant can like, it reads my email, it checks my calendar events.
Nice.
And then my to-dos there, and then it gives me a report every morning of like what's going on, like what is the priority. So I don't know how useful it is yet because like, I still need to tweak some things, and like for now it's just kind of like telling me things I kind of know already. Because it's not like I'm missing, it's not like I have all these unread emails and events I don't know about. But it's been still cool to like play around with this and see kind of like the potential. And I'm now starting to think like there is some automation actually that could help with the business. Like creating like SOWs, like statement of work, which are, almost all the time like pretty similar. Creating like a new lead template on Notion, for example. I'm using Notion for a lot of that. So all these small things, I'm like, okay, now it's kind of possible. I don't know if it's gonna save me that much time, to be honest, compared to like doing it manually. Creating a new lead on Notion doesn't take me that long. But if it can be automatic, and I'm starting to see like the benefits of like why people, have been like hyping this up. So it's been really fun to play around that.
Do you have like some sort of tool like Zapier or NA8 or something?
Yeah, that one,
like that?
that one, N8,
The N8.
and yeah,
N8,
and I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that name, but
N8N.
Yeah.
I have used Zapier. Now I'm on make.com, and I have seen a bunch of videos about N8N, and I'm kind of feeling a little FOMO because of the AI stuff. But I have done quite cool automations without actual AI, with just the make.com. So things you mentioned, kind of the same kind of things. Like whenever I have a form submit, someone contacts me throughout my website, it will draft an email based on a template for me. Actually, I have like integrated that with ChatGPT, so it will like give the email and response, and the ChatGPT will write the response, and make.com will put that into draft email for me and those sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
it is cool, but I would love to see it like agent that in your example could say that stop painting those Warhammer figurines, do some work
Get to
for
work.
that.
Yeah. I don't know if we're there yet, but yeah, I mean that's kind of like what I need. Like, that was the idea behind the assistant, is like somebody I can, something I can ask, what's my priority for the day? Like what should I focus on today? And like can just check everything, my project management emails, like, and just kind of like tell me what, like having a boss kind of like, as as a AI that tells me what to focus on. And then of course, make your own decision. We're not like, machines ourselves, but just to know a bit, like what's going on, it's without me having to have like kind of that mental, burden of like having to remember everything and like, oh, I need to answer that email and do this and that. So that was the idea, but I don't know if it's yet,
and
there yet.
sometimes it's such a simple thing that you do not want to open your email or to-do list because you know that there's a bunch of stuff and you just want to know if there is something, someone has answered your email or what is the next single item on your to-do list. And it would be so nice to just ask and get that one answer, not the whole shebang.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the things you mentioned, like with Zapier, like I never really saw the need to do that, because I feel like it didn't really add much value. It's like, oh, okay, I can get a Slack message maybe when I get a new lead, or, like I didn't see anything that really like impressed me and like, yeah, that's going to save me a lot of time, but now I feel like with, with the LLMs, being able to kind of understand, like you can, it's not as just like the, one answer kind of thing. You can get a bit more from it. I'm guessing, like I said, like asking like, hey, create a few tasks, remove the ones that are done, like blah, 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 like kind of give more instructions, and for it to be able to kind of like understand what you want and give you some insights as well. Not just like a robot being like running, this, here is the, I don't know if what I'm trying to say makes sense, but
totally.
Yeah.
Like without AI, it's so like template based, and the workflows are like very rigid. And with AI, you can get more custom answers. And you can, of course, interact with it in a different way.
Exactly. I think, for example, like if I take your example of like you're getting a lead and you can answer an automated message, like, I mean, that was possible before, right? You could have, just a template answer and but okay, there's no customization. The client just gets, the same message everybody else gets, like, oh, I'll get back to you soon. Thank you for your interest or whatever. Then the next step is like, okay, maybe ChatGPT gets the context, it knows about your business, it can get a better answer. But then for me, like the next step even would be that it would ask me, like maybe on Slack, like, because I mean, I'm talking about Slack all the time because it's what I use mostly, for work. So I like that everything would be on the same app. But it could ask me like, hey, you just got a, new lead, like somebody filled your form. They want these services, this is the budget, blah, blah, blah. What should I answer? And you could just say like, oh, well, this is not really, my niche, or the budget is too low, like answer something, or like, yeah, I'm really interested, book an appointment, check my calendar. And then it will like, okay, yeah, let me check your calendar. This is a good time. Can I answer this? And just be like, yeah, sure, send. And then it would just like send everything with the link to the calendar and like, like kind of
that
have
would
it
be awesome, yeah.
Be a bit smarter. And I feel like this is where like, we're getting there.
We're close, but there's the little bit of trust that we would still need. Like the trust that it will write the email the way you would write it, and not make mistakes or anything like that.
That's
I'm kind of, well, I wouldn't say close to that, but my automation works so that the ChatGPT gets like the context. It knows that what are my services, what are my minimum fees, and when is my next possible starting dates for a project. And based on that, it will write a response. but it will still create just a draft email because I do not trust it
Yeah,
to send it
exactly.
out.
Exactly.
So it will, yeah, it will save me some time, but maybe someday we will be at that stage where we can just
Yeah.
trust our AI companions and let them do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the trust thing, yeah, I think you have you have a good point. I'm at the same page. And I've also like dabbled, like if you want to talk a bit about like, business stuff
Yeah.
now, like, like since I started like as a freelancer, and then I like to collaborate with like other freelancers, for certain things. And then I was like, oh, what's the next step? Like I should grow, and run like a proper studio. And like everybody's been telling, basically everywhere I look, it's like, like if you if your business doesn't work without you, like you don't have a business, you just have a job. And I was like, okay, maybe this is what I need to do, like, just focus on sales and this and that, and then delegate more and that. And I've been dabbling with that, but I'm thinking about that because you talked about the trust. And like I also tested like having an assistant, but I feel like it didn't really save me that much time, because like unless you 100% trust your assistant, like maybe she's like fully
Yeah.
part of the business, or like some people like I see like they're like a couple, like your partner is doing the other side of the, like that's fine. But like if you have somebody like part-time, like I don't trust 100%, and I have to double check all the time, everything as well. Like, okay, is this the email, like would I answer the email like this, and would I answer the client like that? Is the proposal how I would also, so it's like, well, I might as well do it myself then, so.
Yeah. And a lot of times, the things you would like to outsource to an assistant are those like communication stuff that you mentioned, like emails and maybe some light content creation. But those things are like very, very like
Exactly.
personal.
Exactly.
So a lot of marketing folks say that never outsource those to the intern. They are important stuff, and you should
Yeah.
do them by yourself. But
Yeah, but that's
yeah,
super good point, because she was like, yeah, I can, I can help with the marketing and stuff. And like, even if I write the idea, then I see the post, I was like, ugh, like, no, like this is not at all how I would write it, like there's just a lot of nuance, and maybe they don't realize like how important those small nuance, are. But for me, like, I'm like opinionated, like I don't want to just put anything out there. So yeah, I mean, it was still a good experiment, and that's also what now is like maybe also get me more interested into automations and AI and stuff, because I do feel like, okay, there's some things I'm spending a lot of time on that maybe I don't need to be doing it. But yeah, I definitely am happy. I realize, like just doing the work and not just being a CEO, like I don't want to
yeah,
just do
yeah.
sales, marketing, managing people, telling people what to do. Like, so I'm kind of like, yeah, it was good, to experiment a bit with this and realize like what I like doing, but I'm kind of like doubling down on just, yeah, like just being kind of like, my sweet spot is like being a freelancer that can collaborate with others when I need, maybe some expertise is needed, some special design skills, or like 3D or illustrations or whatever. And happy to collaborate with others, because I don't want to be limited by just my skill set, but I still want to be part of the project. I want to do the work. I don't want that, yeah, just be managing people, because you have to let go of a lot of things, and you have to do a completely different job with different skill set. And I actually enjoy, doing the work.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like, yeah. So basically the evolution of my business is like, it's not really evolving. I feel like I have the sweet spot, and maybe that's okay. And I think maybe you're a bit in the similar
Definitely. I struggle with that, and yeah, there's of course a lot of ways one can like evolve. Your business does not have to grow like in the means of like actual employees. You can just try to get more like bigger projects and work with cool people and so on. But I totally feel the pressure to build an agency or build something bigger than just a one person thing. But I'm with you. You do not have to do that because, as you said, the work is totally different. And sometimes I feel that people are in the hurry to somehow like outsource everything and make themselves obsolete, which usually means that they just want to build a money machine.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, that's good and well if you want to do that, but that might be an indicator that you do not like the actual work
Yeah,
that you started. Like,
exactly.
if you're in the web design business just to like make money, well, this is a way to make money, but maybe you could try other stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, yeah, nothing wrong with that, you know. Like, if you just want to build a business and you're like, you know, I'm gonna pick web design, and that's fine. Then, you know, like from the beginning, maybe you outsource the design and the development, and you're more like the face of the company, the CEO, and like that's fine, you know. But for me, that's not where I came from. You know, I kind of, you know, enjoyed design and, you know, development, and then I'm trying to get myself away from this, and then it's like, okay, that's not, you know, that I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
So,
and the other thing that I see that people are trying to like, well, make some sort of passive income and trying to like get out of client work, basically.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
But I just realized when I talked with Ethan that I mentioned before that maybe the client's work is actually quite good work because the money comes like quickly. You do not have to wait for that. And if you build some sort of app or whatever digital products, you might have to take quite big risks. And with client work, especially the website projects that we make, they are not ongoing, so it has a start and the end. If you have a, let's say, bad client, the project will end at some point, and you can of course try to filter the bad clients out. So it might not be as bad as people make it seem.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like good clients, it's maybe the best work.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, like if you can put yourself in a position where, you know, you're earning what, you know, comfortably, and you can pick what projects to work on, then you can pick the ones that, yeah, you enjoy doing. But it's true that there's this kind of tendency of like, oh, okay, like if somebody's becoming, you know, like you like, I've seen a few freelancers becoming like really popular and then using that popularity to just like get out of client work, you know, like doing a course or something like that, which is interesting. I feel like sometimes it's maybe just like kind of you know, like, oh, there's like money on the table, so you gotta take it, you know, like you have this audience, so might as well do a course. And sometimes, you know, maybe it's more like they really want to get out of, you know, the client work and they love teaching and they do more courses and stuff.
Yeah.
I do enjoy teaching. I know you also enjoy teaching, so yeah, I don't have yet like a strong opinion about this. Of course, I don't like people that seem to be just like trying to grab money, you know, from people, you know, like just a quick buck. But yeah, for now, I'm happy doing the client work. I don't see myself like doing like, you know, products or like templates even, you know. Some people, they just do templates because they don't have to deal with clients, with revisions, with feedback, you know.
Yeah.
Or courses.
Me too. I like the client work. Of course, if I had like the opportunity to jump full time to a YouTuber or a teacher or something else, I might take that offer. But for now, I feel that client work is just good. And yeah, of course, there's one caveat. You kind of have to be a good communicator. And
Yeah.
I understand that if you feel that all your clients are somehow tough, there might be a couple of reasons. One is that you are billing too little, and the other one might be that you yourself are not that good of a communicator. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think once you get to that point, like I said before, where you can kind of pick, your clients and your project, I think everything gets easier because then you can pick the projects where you feel, that you can tell when the client is gonna be, easygoing and everything is gonna go smoothly. Usually, of course, sometimes you think it's gonna go smoothly and it doesn't. But if you can be in the position where you're like, well, actually, you don't really need the money, like you're fine, you have
Yeah,
potentially another project, then you can stop when before it's too late.
yeah. The walk
So
away
yeah,
power.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
There was something else while we're at this more like broad topic. Yeah, I was thinking kind of maybe loosely related to this is the pace of like learning or doing projects, because at some point last week a thought struck to me that I should be like learning more stuff and practicing more. I should have some sort of like design workout routine.
Mm,
And then the second thought was that, okay, but what about all the client's work? The client work always comes first, and where do I
yeah.
find the time? I try to do the content that we're doing right now. And then I thought that there is probably some sort of balance of how much you do and how you are like able to learn. Let's say if you work in a busy agency, you might be doing a lot, which is usually good for learning. But if it's too much, like you are just a machine and you like copy paste everything and you will
Mm.
not be doing anything new, hence you will not be learning. And I was thinking, what would be the ideal pace for projects, let's say website projects that you could still learn while you are doing. Thoughts on that?
I don't know, like I've tried, forever to give myself some, schedule and like be like, okay, you gotta now, there's always these new things I gotta learn, like, oh, you gotta learn Spline, like set aside some time to do this, or you gotta learn this. But at the end, I don't know if it's my ADHD or what, but like I can't force myself for these things. I always have to follow my interest, and then I will kind of like, like I said, like yesterday, I was the whole day from morning to evening basically on like, N8N and just, you know, building, workflows and automations. So I'm kind of like embracing that this is how I am. And then if there's a period of time where I don't have anything, I'm just doing the client work and everything is fine. And then suddenly something piques my interest and I'm just going all in on that, then this is what I do. So this is what happened with the cursor thing. It came with the project, but then this automation thing came kind of like out of nowhere. And yeah, I thought about this also because, you were talking about, becoming like, potentially like full-time YouTube or something. Like YouTube was something I also came at some point. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Let's do like a YouTube channel. And then I made a couple videos, and now it's kind of like, I lost a bit the interest, holiday came, and I can only have like one or two things that I'm like really kind of obsessed about. That's the thing. I obsess about things or then I don't care. Like there's no like in between. So it's really difficult for me to have things like YouTube where you gotta do a little bit every week. I have really trouble doing that, and I kind of accepted that this is not my personality. This is not how I am, and maybe I'm not gonna do YouTube for like 2-3 months, and maybe all of a sudden I'm gonna make videos every week for a couple months. And that's just, I know it's not great, but like I'm not doing YouTube to get clients. Like when I really need it to, like for clients. Like then I would obviously, I do the work and I do LinkedIn posts and things like that. But yeah, if I don't really have to, then I'm just leaning onto my personality, which is kind of like, obsessing or not caring at all. And sometimes there's period where I don't do anything related to Webflow. And this year I've been obsessing, about painting little miniatures. And when I was like learning all that, I was watching all the YouTube videos and buying all the paints and like tools, and like I didn't care about Webflow. I was doing my job, like kind of a 9 to 5, and then after that I was doing my own thing. I wasn't learning, any new, Webflow related or like design related thing. And sometimes that's fine. I think you need the kind of like Otherwise, you're just gonna burn out. I feel like, at least for
No,
me.
totally.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I believe that applies to everyone. So you have to have some sort of outlet or something else to do. For
yeah,
example, I went to a woodworking class yesterday,
nice.
and that is quite far away from this digital world we where we live in. So that was nice. But about the Warhammer, I know that you have started painting those. So I gotta ask, how did you jump into it? Where did you find it?
Actually, like when I was a kid, my brother got a few Warhammer, and like he had some Space Marines, and he got some orcs for me, so we could play together. I'm like 5 years younger than him, so it's not like I was gonna be very challenging in the strategy side of things compared to him. But it was nice for him to have somebody to play with him, I guess. So, and I just painted those, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Of course, I wasn't very good at that time. But then more recently, I don't know, I was just talking with a friend, and I don't know, he was like, we talked a bit about that, like what we used to do as a kid, and he was like, yeah, you should totally try again, and I was like, yeah, maybe. Then I just did, earlier this year, like at the beginning of the year, I just yeah, started again. And then, like I said, when I start something, then I start to obsess about it, and like wanting to learn everything, and watching the videos, and buying all the cool stuff. So yeah, and so now I've been at first just like painting just for the sake of painting, doing something with your hand, and having a bit of creativity outside of the screen. But now I'm trying to pick up the playing also. Trying a game called like Kill Team, which is, it's not like those huge armies that you sometimes have, or with Warhammer 40K. It's more like a small squad, and you play like, turn by turn, like one figurine by one figurine, which makes it a bit more interactive than like full army. Like then for half an hour you got the opponent like, moving the armies. Like for me,
Yeah.
that's too boring. It's like I'm gonna fall asleep. So yeah, that's kind of like how I got into it. And now I'm like,
Yeah.
now that I'm painting the figurine, I'm like, might as well play with them as well. So it's not just sitting on the shelf, looking pretty. But yeah, do you know anything about Warhammer or a
Not
tabletop?
really. I see some videos on YouTube, like shorts and stuff. They are fascinating. Mainly like the painting ones. And I find myself like, what could I call it? Like pseudo hobbies, like being interested about
Mm,
nerdy stuff, let's say
yeah,
Warhammer or Pokemon cards,
yeah.
but not actually like
Doing
doing the
it.
hobby. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I completely get that. Yeah, there was a time when I was watching like YouTube videos about, I don't know what's the name, but it's like aquarium kind of, landscaping kind of thing, where
Yeah.
they build their own like aquarium, or like they build they put the plants, the rocks, and they usually it's very aesthetically pleasing. And I loved watching this like for a couple months. I was just watching this every day, like people doing the best aquariums, and like, but I wouldn't like, I'm not interested in having an aquarium myself. So, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think it's a little bit similar, where you can kind of like enjoy like watching it or seeing it,
Totally.
but
But
like
I
you,
feel that there comes a point of life, of an adult life, where you are like, okay, now I do not care what other people do,
yeah,
so, and
yeah.
I can nerd out on whatever Pokemon, or what's the new trend with the little thingies,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Labubu.
yeah.
So I'm not sure
Yeah.
if that's trendy or nerdy, but
I don't know.
anyway, you can do whatever you want and have fun. So
Yeah, that's true.
that is cool.
Yeah.
When you get to that point, that is awesome.
And also you have like adult money now. So,
Yeah,
when before you might have been frustrated, like, Mom, can you buy me? And they're like, no, you have to wait for
yeah,
Christmas. Now you're like, well, fuck it. I'll buy all these paints.
yeah. You
Yeah.
can drop a couple €100 on a single Pokemon card if you want.
Yeah. If that's your thing. Yeah. Um, yeah. And actually on that kind of subject, I do think there is interesting thing to like look at what you did as a kid and what did you enjoy. And this is kind of like what I was thinking about also when I was on the verge of like going freelancing And I was like trying to think like, what are the things that I really liked doing. And I've always liked, something a little bit, creative, but also a little bit technical, and that's like why Webflow, I felt like this was the perfect, fit for me, because there is creativity, there's design, animation, all that, but there's also the technical aspect, which is kind of building stuff, and knowing the software and all that.
Yeah.
And that has always been there as a kid, so I can really look back and see like, it is the same, like what I liked before, I like it now also, even though it's in a different way. And even painting the Warhammers is the same thing. There's the creativity, but it's not like I have a blank canvas and I'm like, okay, paint something, like I'm not Picasso. Like I need the restrictions, I need the technical kind of geeky aspect of like which paint to use, which technique to apply, and which material and all that. So I think, you can learn a lot from thinking about what did you enjoy doing as a teenager or as a kid, and now that you're an adult, just enjoy it,
Yeah, totally. But of course, at some point you have to move from thinking to doing, like actually try stuff. But circling back to the evolution of Webflow as a platform, I too want to like do both of the things, like design and development. I'm not the like best designer, not the best developer, but I kind of like the challenge from the both. And that's probably the only thing that a little bit bothers me when Webflow is getting more technical. The clients that come to me are more and more coming to me for just the Webflow part, like just the development, which is nice.
Okay.
Those are good projects too. But I wonder, will there be a day that I just leave the design part just because of the client requests? Maybe. Of course, I can do things about that. It's in my control to some point. But I wonder, of course.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything like that?
I don't know. I still feel like maybe it's the type of clients, but I still do, let's say like 80% is, with design as well. Yeah, I do have some people reaching out just to help, with development, but I still feel like there is a demand for design. So yeah, I don't know. I guess depends on the clients, depends what they have also internally, if they have designers but I don't think it happened that, okay, I mean, it might have happened, a couple of times, but most of the time it doesn't happen that they hire me for Webflow and then they hire another freelancer for design. Usually, they want to do
usually
everything.
In my case, if they hire me just for Webflow, they had designed the site in-house.
Yeah,
so they have some sort of team that includes a designer.
How do you find it when that happens?
I'm just fine. I'm like putting on my developer hats and
Yeah.
not thinking too much about the design choices. Of course, I will not be a mindless robot. If there is something off with the design, I will point that out. Let's say some accessibility stuff or just a bad layout or bad, even like content, bad wording on a headline. I will always call that out because in the long run, it benefits the client.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'm asking that because I've noticed, like, for me, when that happens, even though it's really rare, I do sometimes notice, like, okay, like, it wasn't really like a web designer that designed, maybe they're more doing graphic design and social media, but then they've been put on that project, or they've been product designers and maybe they have more UX skills than UI skills. Like, I don't usually, I don't want to say like always, but, I feel like more often than not, it hasn't been the best fit. That's why I'm also like usually advising, like, let us handle the design, or then hire somebody that does, web design like full time.
Yeah, there's definitely the case where like the client has done some design. Let's say they have designed a mock-up of the first page, but then if I'm gonna do just the developments, I will require like all the pages, design for all the pages. So there's a little bit of a filter, and many times the client has done some design, and I'm like that, basically saying that is not enough. Let me design the whole thing. Of course, you have to be quite ruthless because then it gets messy if you kind
exactly.
of do and don't do the design.
Yeah, and you want to be proud of the work. So if you don't like the design that the client is providing, like, then you don't want to put it on your portfolio. So it comes back to like deciding who you want to work with and what projects to take on. And for me, then those are not usually the highest priority if I see the design and it's subpar. So
yeah, but that is kind of tough because the case that the client has done some work and maybe they are still doing the design and they want to do the design, but they want the development to start. There are like those edge cases where you kind of get that the client wants to move fast, but then you are like, let's do this the proper way. Let's design the whole site and then jump to the development.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm not sure what to do with those like requests. Am I just saying that? Yeah.
Just say no.
Yeah. I should.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, it really does not. I have been able to say no, just to be clear, but I usually try to somehow tell them that, okay, I need to design it or they need to design it like thoroughly.
Yeah.
So that I can do the better work at the design phase.
I mean, some people are like, oh, we gotta be agile, like.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I'm gonna start building that page, and then you're gonna change it, and then I have to rebuild it basically. So how is that saving us any time? Might as well just finish the page, get it approved, and then I build it. There's no point of like having circles and circles for the sake of being agile. Like, you're just wasting time. So this is different from product development. Like,
hopefully we will have a AI assistant that we can tell that explain this matter to the client in a polite way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you have watched the previous episodes that I have made, but I have this new kind of funny section at the end of every episode.
Oh no.
So,
but this is not a proper episode. This is just a quick chat. This is our second time.
You are not getting out of this. We will go. I will force you to go through with this. Yeah. So yeah, how this section works. I will give you a Finnish saying or an idiom or a metaphor. I will say it in Finnish and in a translation in English, and you have to guess what that means.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Okay, yeah.
So you have a kind of like advantage here because you live in Finland.
Yeah.
But if you get this right, you would be the first one to get it right.
I probably won't. I mean, I will tell you if I've heard it before so that it's fair,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I probably
Okay.
don't.
So the saying is in Finnish, näyttää närhen munat. And the literal translation is to show Jay's eggs. And Jay is a type of a bird. Närhi is the word for the bird in Finnish. So you're basically showing some bird eggs to someone.
What could that mean? Well, that sounds like some kind of rare item. So is it like something like showing off or showing off your wealth or some shit like that? Or like you have to say me like warm or cold and then I can try again.
That's quite cold.
Ah, shit. Could it be like, because it's also like so kind of out of nowhere, could it be like somehow like being completely off topic, like you're showing me your bird eggs, like not even it's like what, nobody cares.
There's a saying for that, but it's not this
Shit.
one.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay. So to show Jay's eggs means basically to put in one's place or to teach a lesson. So if I show you Jay's eggs, I teach you a lesson or put you in your place.
I don't see the relation between the
There's
two.
probably no relation.
How is that teaching me a lesson? It's like, okay.
I'm not sure. I do not like invent this.
Okay, but why? What's so special about Jay's eggs?
I'm not sure. I have no clue. It is
Yeah,
just
it's
the
just a
way it
saying.
is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
it's the quirkiness of Finnish language.
All right. But that's yeah, that's fun. Let me know if we have a third episode. Then I'll
Oh,
bring you a
totally.
French expression as well.
Dear. But hey, there's one thing that we have not done in this episode. It's usually done at the start of the episode, and it's the intros.
Yeah.
So my name is Janne Parri. I am kind of the host of this episode, and with me is Felix. We are both of course Webflow certified partners, and that's basically why we are so excited about all things Webflow. So Felix, tell of course where people can find you, and if
Okay.
there's any closing remarks you wanna say, go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll take that intro. I don't think I need to add anything else. They can find me. Well, I do have a YouTube channel, but I'm not, it's on and off. Sometimes I'm active, sometimes I'm not. Maybe I'll get back into it. But yeah, most of the time you can find me on LinkedIn, Félix Meens. I post weekly about some thoughts about Webflow, design, freelancing, sharing my work. Yeah. And
Yeah.
thanks Janne for having me again. I like this kind of like just, talking shit format and just sharing what's up. I think this is the kind of podcast I enjoy listening to as well, when there's not necessarily like, a topic. It's just like chatting, sharing how the business is doing, what we've learned and all that. So hopefully other people are enjoying it too.
That's it, and that's all. See ya.